the door. Peter, recognizing that Christ was about ready to come, and he was about to set this world on fire. In the passage, beloved, Peter is making it clear he's going to set this place on fire. Peter is not concerned so much about the situation or the things that they have. Peter is more concerned about the character. He's going to set this world on fire. Your property, your land, your stocks, your bonds, everything you possessed. He declares to them, beloved, you will not see them. They will be burnt up at the coming of the Lord. Everything that you possess, even the church that you're going to build in the future, I know it will be a beautiful church. A church that will be nice, but Jesus declared, Peter is one of the individuals, y'all. Listen now, even that building will be burnt up. The only thing that you're going to take with you now is your character. Is your character. It's your character. Peter tells us what manner of person we ought to be. That's what he asked. He asked the question. And he tells us now in the question, holy is the first thing. Holy is the first thing. As I look at this word holy, I looked up a definition. I found that holy has to do primarily with God's separating from the world that which he chooses to vote to himself. Another definition describes holy, beloved, as sacred in the Greek term, sacred. As you combine these two particular phrases, sacred and the phrase, I'm going to quote it again, has to do primarily with God separating from the world that which he chooses to devote to himself. In other words, as you look at these two phrases, beloved, sacredness and what God has called out of the world and put his sacredness on it, what you declare, beloved, that whatever God calls out, it is sacred. Whatever God separates from the world, it is sacred. We have to be clear as the saints of God, beloved, that God has placed sacredness upon our life. You want to know why, beloved, we stumble and we fall in our walk on the word of sanctification. One of the reasons is because we forgot that God has called us to be sacred. He has placed sacredness on our life. You have to be mindful. You have to remember that. It always got to be constantly in your mind. Holiness begins, beloved, knowing who you are before you become a being. You have to know who you are. Holy. God has called you out. He has separated you from the world. He has placed a label of holiness upon you. That's why young people do not count it strange when the elders and when the deaconess tell you how you should walk, tell you how you should eat, tell you how you should live. They recognize, my brothers and sisters, young people, they recognize that God has called you to be holy. He has called you to be holy. That's why, young lady, if you are out on a date and the young guy that you're out on a date with seems to be an angel, and all of a sudden now he want to show who he really is. The tail is poking out, the ears are up now, the horns is out. He began to show who he really is. And he said, young lady, we're here now in the park. Let's now go into the back seat of the car now and let's get our groove on. I've been wanting to get with you for a long time. Can this be the night? And because, young lady, you recognize your holiness, you would declare to the individual, I know I cannot do this. Why? Because God has called me out. Second, he has separated me from the world. Third, beloved, he has placed a sacredness of holiness upon my life. How can I do this wicked thing against my God? It's only when you recognize, my brothers and sisters, that God has called you to be holiness by which you're able to continue to grow in holiness. It's only when you recognize it. Young brothers, I'm not leaving you out. When your boy calls you and tells you we got 10 young ladies here at the house, we have some alcohol and some drugs, come and taste and see. I know that you call yourself a Christian, but you're a young man. You're 17 years of age. You got plenty of time to get together and get it right. I know we're living in the last days, but guess what? You can do this thing and get back. But if holiness is placed upon your mind, brother, you would stand up and you would declare, I cannot do this. Why? He has called me out. He has separated me from the world unto himself to glorify him. And he has placed sacredness on my life. On my life. So don't look at it to be strange, beloved, when we tell you young people that you have to eat right, dress right, because God has called you to holiness. God is calling you to a higher level of living because you have been brought with the blood of Jesus and you have been set apart for a holy use to bring glory to his name. In one text I want to read you in 1 Peter, verse 15, 16. Paul shares these encouraging words, but as it relates to holiness, as it relates to a call of holiness, 1 Peter 1, verse 15, 16. Like as he who called you is holy, be he yourself also holy in all manner of living, because it is written, he shall be holy, for I am holy. For I am. That is the motivation for holiness. Not so much, beloved, that Jesus is coming. That is the reward. That is the treat that we receive by being faithful. But the motivator is because, beloved, God has placed sacredness on your life. And he asked you, beloved, to be like him because he is holy. He is holy. He is holy. Not only does Peter commission us to be holy, he says we ought to be holy and godly. Godliness is the second principle that Peter mentioned in this particular passage by which we must become. Godliness is defined as having great reverence for God. It could be classified as pious. Piousness is having or showing dutiful spirit of respect for God, an earnest wish to fulfill religious obligation. This can be classified into two groups. Well, you can break this down into two groups. This is the word godliness. Two groups. You can look at this, beloved, from the inner being. That's the first group. The second group, beloved, break it down into two groups, or I don't want to say two groups, actually, I want to say two parts. That's what I want to say, two parts. The first part is the inner being. The second part is the outer being. Talking about godliness now, breaking down the word of godliness. The inner being represents your emotions, your response towards God, such as reverence, respect, and love, based upon the definition we read. The outer being represents your external performance, such as caring, spirit of sacrifice, faithful tithe payer, church goer. He or she may sit on the church board, forgiving, showing humility, faithful to his or her spouse, active in youth ministry. The level of your performance is based on the level of your inner being. The level of your performance is based upon the level of your inner being. That is respect for God or the love of God. But do not be fooled into thinking that your inner man is okay, because you have mastered external performance. Your heart may still be far from God. Are you with me? Isaiah 29 verse 13 declares in the word that, and the Lord said, for as much as this people draw nigh unto me, and with their mouth and with their lips to honor me, but have removed their hearts far from me, And their fear of me is a commandment of men which have been taught them. That's Isaiah 29:13. They fear more so of the commandments of men and not God. And he declares in this word that their heart is far from me. Ezekiel chapter 33 verse 31 declares, and they come unto thee as a people cometh, and they sit before thee as my people, and they hear thy words, but do them not. For with their mouth they show much love, but their heart goeth after gain, or after money. Whatever you want, after money. In other words, beloved, they